let me ask you this. I'm sure somebody wants to do this, but they're rolling their eyes because they're like, well, I don't have X amount of dollars. And you know, what is a lot of money to somebody is all relative to what they're thinking about buying. So maybe I don't have $10,000 to go buy an asset. I don't have $100,000 to put down on a house. I don't have $1 million to buy a trailer park home or a storage unit or a business or whatnot. Where do people start, right? Because I think there's a happy medium somewhere between, you know, whether it's Dave Ramsey, have no debt, live like a pauper, hate your life, and save, save, save. There's got to be a happy medium between that and like, well, I'm going to Vegas and putting it all on black. So where do people start if they're just starting to think through this? Because, you know, we're obviously filming this in 2021. It feels like all asset classes are pretty expensive. Like, you know, when you talk about a piece of real estate cash flowing, it's like, in Southern California, you can't find that. You can't find a $800,000 single family residence that you buy, put a renter in there and cash flow. So talk a little bit, even in this environment where, you know, all asset classes, the stock market, pork bellies, real estate, everything feels kind of expensive right now. Where can somebody start if they don't have a bunch of money, and how can they conceptualize this even in a market where it feels like things are maybe expensive?
Well, we're in a bit of a predicament here because money is becoming less valuable by the day. So right now, based on the last 9 months of money printing, 40% of the dollars in circulation in the US were printed inside of the last 9 months. 40% of the money. So think about that. So anyone who's telling you that inflation is 2%, 3%, they are full of it. And now the new, you know, stimulus for 1.9 trillion, maybe that bumps it up to 45% of money in circulation. You know, I'd have to do the math, but it's over 40%. So think about that. And think about what's happening to the dollar. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, you're right. Asset classes are almost across the board are overvalued. The stock market is at an all-time high. So that's overvalued. Many of your real estate sectors are overvalued. So it's hard to want to buy in. Now, not every asset is that way. And typically, if you want to hedge against a devaluing dollar, you know, to hedge against inflation, you would buy assets. And assets are going to appreciate typically in proportion to inflation. So that's a great hedge first and foremost. So it's finding the assets that are not overvalued. And that might be finding an off-market deal. I call them invisible deals. There are a lot of them. It could be an off-market deal. It could be a new trend that is emerging. It could be a new business or opportunity or innovation to the status quo. It could be a totally new industry like cannabis or crypto. You know, there's just so many opportunities. E-commerce is booming. There's just so many opportunities. So the first thing is not every asset class is overvalued, but a lot of them are. So be careful. Secondly, if money is being devalued, you want it in assets. You don't want it in cash. You don't want it sitting in your bank account. That's just not a good use of funds. And so, you know, to answer your question, how do people do it? You don't have to have a lot of money. You just have to figure out a way where you can make a win-win situation with someone else. I mean, I've invested in several opportunities. Some of them were a seller finance deal where I didn't have to put much down. I was able to negotiate that. Others, I didn't have to put anything down, but I was able to bring some of my expertise to the situation. Other times I was just able to broker a deal between other people, and I didn't have to do anything with money, but I got a piece for being in the middle. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You know, I love some of these new crowd source platforms. You've got crowdfunding, and you can do something as low as $100 or $1,000. I mean, that is a great place to start. And every deal is a little bit different there. The other thing that you can do is you can find some real estate and find something that you can own in a place that you'd want to own it. And in that scenario, maybe you figure out if you want to do a short-term rental, a long-term rental. There's just so many options that exist. The goal, though, is cash flow. Buy assets that have cash flow. And the opportunities to do that are just endless.